Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the story Joe Wong Comedian Part 2. In this part, we are going to explain the various vocabulary words and other aspects of reading the story in detail. Okay, let's begin. Joe Wong Comedian. What is a comedian? What is a comedian? Okay, well, let's take a look. Let's take a look. He is a comedian. You know him as Mr. Bean, right? So he is very famous. He's on TV, he's in movies, and his job is to make you laugh. His job is to say funny things, act in funny ways to make you laugh. So if your job is to make somebody laugh, then you are a comedian. Okay? Comedian. So Joe Wong, comedian. Okay, well, he's not Joe Wong. His name is Rowan Atkinson, also known as Mr. Bean. But he has a real name. His real name is Rowan Atkinson. But we're not talking about Rowan Atkinson. We're talking about Joe Wong. And Joe Wong is also a comedian. He is a stand-up comedian. Okay? All right. And a stand-up comedian means that he or she stands up in front of many people and then tells jokes. A stand-up comedian. Okay? So Joe Wong is a stand-up comedian. Comedian. Okay? So he is a comedian. Good. Joe Wong was born in China in 1970. Well, why did I want to talk about this number? Well, I want to talk about it because sometimes it is a little bit difficult to read. When you see something like a year that looks like this, before the year 2000, okay, you're going to have to read it as two numbers. You have to say 19 and then 70, okay, right? So any number that is from before 2000, you have to say 1970, 1950, 1914, 1938, whatever the case may be. So 1970, okay? So Joe Wong was born in China in 1970. Okay. He had finished university in China prior to moving to the United States to study. What is a university? University. We talked about how to read these words in part 1, so you should already know how to read that word. University. Well, this is a university. Well, it's a possible university. A university is just a school that you go to after high school. Okay, so you go to elementary school, and then junior high school, and then high school, and then after high school, you go to university. University. Okay, so a university is a school for older children. In fact, they are not children anymore. Usually, people go to university when they are 18 years old, so they are adults. They are not children, right? So university is a school for adults. You can think of it that way, okay? University. University. We will make sentences later. Okay. So he had finished university in China prior to moving to the United States to study. Well, as we mentioned before, prior to means before. That's what it means. Prior to just means before. So in other words, whoops, sorry. So in other words, he had finished university in China before moving to the United States to study. Okay, so prior to just means before. Okay, continue. Eventually, he became an engineer for a company in Boston. Well, what is eventually? Eventually means finally, okay? In the end, okay? It just means finally, or it means in the end, okay? So eventually, finally, in the end, he became an engineer for a company in Boston, okay? So eventually, okay, finally, in the end, he became an engineer for a company in Boston. Okay. Well, what is an engineer? All right. Who is an engineer? Well, let's take a look. She could be an engineer, right? Aha. Okay. There are many kinds of engineers. She is one kind of engineer, and she works in a lab, right? And notice she has to know how to, operate all the machines and to, whoops, where did she go? There she goes. She has to know how to operate all the machines. She has to know how to work on a computer, okay? So she is an engineer, okay? Engineer. So Joe Wong eventually became an engineer for a company in Boston, okay? Now let's talk about company. Company, that's company right there. Company. Well, what are examples of companies? Okay, a company is a store, an organization, a store, right? A group of people maybe that sells something, right? So for example, Nike is a company, right? Apple is a company. Google is a company, right? McDonald's is a company, right? So all these are examples of companies. Apple is a company. Google is a company. McDonald's is a company. Whatever, Burger King. I don't know. Maybe I'm hungry. I keep thinking of restaurants. Burger King is a company. I must be hungry. Okay. So all these are examples of a company. Apple is a company. Google is a company. McDonald's is a company. Burger King is a company. Okay. So he became an engineer for a company in Boston. Boston is a city in America. Okay. You can look it up in a map. Okay. Boston is on the east coast of America. So Boston. Okay. All right. Let's continue. While working as an engineer in Boston for that company, right? So while working as an engineer there meaning in Boston for that company, okay? He realized he had a talent for telling jokes. What does that mean? What does it mean when you have a talent for something? So if you have a talent for something, that means you are good at something, okay? So had a talent for something means he was good at telling jokes. So he had a talent for telling jokes means he was good at telling jokes. What are you good at? What do you have a talent for, right? So that's what to have a talent for means. Okay, very good. Let's continue. He began to work as a stand-up comedian at night and while working as an engineer in the day. We already talked about the word comedian. It's right there, right? Comedian, okay, right here, comedian. Let's say that again. He began to work as a stand-up comedian at night while working as an engineer in the day. Finally, in 2007, he decided to follow his dream and became a full-time comedian. Why is this in red? Well, again, it's about reading, right? How do you say this year? Do you remember? Let's go back. You must remember this was just 5 minutes ago. Well, how do you say this year? You have to say 1970. Well, how do you say this year? You have to say 2007, okay? Who says that? Who says that's right? No one. That's just what people say, all right? If you want to say 2007, you can, but very few people say that, okay? So usually people say 2007, okay? So here, again, 1970, that's what usually people say. 2007, that's what people usually say. Okay, so finally in 2007, he decided to follow his dream and became a full-time comedian, okay? So when you decide to do something, okay, that means you make up your mind and you do it, right? You say to yourself, okay, I will do that. And then you go do it. You decided to do that, okay? So for example, I said, I will drink coffee. So I decided to drink coffee. And look, and I drink coffee, right? So I decided to drink coffee and I drank coffee, all right? I decided to drink coffee, so I drank coffee, okay? Decided, okay? Okay, so he decided to do what? He decided to follow his dream. You know, remember, he wants to be a comedian, right? So he decided to be a comedian. He doesn't want to be an engineer. He wants to be a comedian. So he decided to follow his dream and became a full-time comedian, okay? What does full-time mean, okay? Full-time means this is your only job, all right? So it's not like you do this job for fun. Well, nobody does it for fun, but it's not like you do this job only, you know, 1 day a week or 2 days a week. You do it every day, Monday to Friday. So it is a full-time job. So Joe Wong decided to become a full-time comedian. So he wasn't an engineer anymore. He was a comedian and only a comedian. So he was a full-time comedian. Since then, he has appeared in many famous shows and won awards. So since that time, since he became a full-time comedian, he has appeared in many TV shows You can find him on YouTube. You can find him in movies, I suppose. Okay. So he has appeared in many famous shows, TV shows, internet shows, and won awards. Okay, because he was a very good comedian. He has won awards. This is an award. Imagine you got first place. This is an award, okay? So he has won awards. Today, Joe Wong is a famous and successful comedian. Okay? What does it mean to be successful? What does that mean when you are successful? Well, when you are successful, it means that whatever you do or whatever you did, okay, you were good, and many people said that you were good, okay, and maybe you made a lot of money, maybe you have lots of fans, right? So for example, Joe Wong became a successful comedian because he became famous and he has lots of fans. Okay, so if you are a successful doctor, then you have lots of sick people who go and want you to look at them, right? Okay, so a successful doctor will have lots of patients. A successful teacher will have lots of students, right? A successful restaurant, okay, will have will make lots of money, and a lot of people will go and eat at that restaurant. So since we're talking about restaurants, McDonald's is a successful restaurant, right? They have thousands of stores all over the world, right? Yes, a successful restaurant, right? You all heard of Steve Jobs, right? He was a successful businessman, right? He helped Apple become what it is today, right? So Steve Jobs was a successful business person, okay? I said was because unfortunately he died, right? Okay. And then Tsai Ing-wen, Jolin is a successful singer because she has lots of fans. Successful, okay? Successful, right? So Joe Wong was a successful comedian, okay? His story shows all of us to follow our dreams. Now, I have to change this story a little bit because it doesn't say shows, it says encourages. Okay? His story encourages us, all of us, to follow our dreams. Okay? And what is encourage? Okay? When you encourage someone to do something, you tell them to go do it. Okay? You say to them, go do it. Trust me, you can do it. Okay? Go ahead, you will succeed. Okay? You say good things to them to push them to do it. Okay? So his story pushes us, right? All of us to follow our dreams. Don't be afraid. Do it. Encourage. I encourage you. I push you to do something because, and I tell you, just do it. Don't be afraid. You can make it, right? Encourage. Okay. Push, encourage, push. Okay. All right. So, that is the explanation of the story. Okay. Hopefully that was helpful. If it wasn't, you can watch the video again, or if you see me in class, you can ask me in person. Okay, thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. This has been Teacher Daniel. Okay.